So here it is. It is 2:45. We're in the midst of the severe weather risk that we've got pretty much past 1 a.m. and right up to 8 o'clock in the morning here as this cluster of severe storms continues to kind of back build and go from kind of a supercell cluster mode to more of a Boeing type system here within the next 1 to 2 hours. Now, we've got new severe thunderstorm warnings that are up right now for southern Newton, southern Jasper, and also Benton County for potential brief tornado. That's been part of this slight risk we've got tonight. Possible brief tornado, mainly like an EF0. Can't completely rule out a little bit of hail. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. But the main threat here is some damaging wind. And this warning is going to go for another hour and 30 minutes. You can see where that warning is located right here. It includes Kentland. It includes Brook, as well as Goodland and Remington. Wadena, back to Earl Park, Fowler, Oxford, Boswell, all of Benton County under that severe thunderstorm warning right now, as severe storms are coming out of Watseka and just to the southeast of Kempton, Illinois, and northeast of Chatsworth, and working their way kind of east-southeastward right now. Now, the kind of the direction of movement may eventually shift a little bit. And I say that because you're going to go from a cluster mode here of some supercells, and it's going to gradually kind of broaden out a little bit and elongate on the back. And then more of a Boeing line will begin to form and sweep through a chunk of the rest of the forecast area over the next several hours. So there's your warning that is up right now, moving in that east-southeast direction at about 25 miles an hour. So it's not moving overly fast, and given that, it's producing torrential rainfall. These rainfall rates are 3 to 4 inches per hour. So we've got to watch for areas of flash flooding too, because they are kind of elongating back. You can see how far that cluster goes back here in east central Illinois. So we'll put a storm track on it, just like this, and drop it in through Benton County, move it into White County, and then eventually it's going to come into northern Tippecanoe County as well, and eventually Carroll County. So given that, this is what's expected. Again, the timing may not be perfect, but I just want to give you an idea of the general timing to give you a window here as to when to expect severe weather. So Goodland, about a half an hour away. Wadena, it's 35 minutes. Swanington, 46 minutes. And actually, you know what? It's moving. So let's do another track. I want to make sure we are as accurate as possible with the storm track. So let me redraw this for you once again with that radar data updating on the screen. So there we go. Moving it to the east-southeast, kind of like that. And there we go. We'll take it into Remington, 43 minutes, as long as it stays moving at 25 miles an hour. Again, as it begins to elongate a bit and back build, it may accelerate a little bit. So this is based on 25 miles an hour, but that may speed up a little bit. I may adjust that here when we track it once again here within the next 15 minutes. Wadena, 26 minutes, about a half an hour to Fowler. Atkinson, it's closer to like 45 minutes. I would say Round Grove, it's a little more than an hour to Wolcott, a little more than an hour to Seafield. The Fountain Park area and Remington area, close to 40 minutes. Reynolds, you got about an hour and 20 minutes for this thing to get into your area, and about an hour and a half to get to Chalmers and Brookston. Badger Grove, it's about an hour and 20. We get to Battleground, we're looking at more than an hour and a half. And then Americus, Buck Creek, Heath, north of Springboro, Yeoman, and then east of Lake Schaefer and east of Monticello. This is going to be about 2 hours away. So it's going to be closer to about 4:45 in the morning before it gets into your area. And remember, like I said, this is severe weather risk up to about 8 o'clock in the morning. And there's Lake Psychic, more than 2 hours away. It's more than 2 hours from Camden, Flora, and Owasco. a little more than 2 hours away. At Radnor, Piermont, it's a little more than 2 hours away too. That is based on the current thinking that it's going to move at 25 miles an hour. But again, it may accelerate. So take these times of arrival with some grain of salt here as these storms kind of evolve from this clustering of supercells again into more of a line that's beginning to form on the front and then back build and spread out as it works east southeastward with that. So given all that, my thinking here, I shouldn't move that on the screen. Let me put that right back for you. My thinking here is that this will continue to move off to the east-southeast. So it's right here like this now. Thought process here is that by the time it gets down Logansport and Frankfort and Covington, it's probably going to look something like this as it back builds and surges outward. And then eventually it's going to be something like this. And the line's going to be dropping a little bit more due southeast rather than east southeast. And this is all going to occur within the next 6 hours, the evolution of it. And it's all going to have severe weather risk with it as well. The threat of some damaging winds, 60 miles an hour or more. And I cannot rule out a tornado or two this morning. And perhaps a little isolated hail, but it's really the wind part is what I'm kind of looking at right now as the biggest threat. But it is early in the morning. Kids will be getting ready for school. You don't think about necessarily damaging wind or tornado risk on a morning kids are headed to school. So that's something to think about. That as this goes through, kids will be going to the bus stop. What areas are going to be impacted at the bus stop for these storms to be coming through? Well, it's going to be all areas that are east, southeast, and south and southeast of these storms. So right now, the biggest wind threat is between Watseka and Milford. I just have the high-res velocity up on the screen here. And these are damaging winds exceeding 60 miles an hour that are headed for western Benton County. And I'm going to be overturning every rock here and looking at measured wind gusts as data will be coming in as anemometers, weather stations will be measuring these gusts as the storms move to the east-southeast and eventually the southeast. And you can't rule out a brief tornado mixed in any of this. The tornado possible tag is on this cluster of severe storms. So the main thing here is wind, of course. I'll circle that for you. These are damaging winds, but you've got to watch for an embedded brief tornado spin up, little EF0 or low end EF1 little spin up here embedded in the damaging wind. And again, this is all headed for Benton County. I'm going to go ahead and wipe the storm relative velocity on the screen. And let's get a vantage point of the wind direction. Okay, so we need to know what's blowing towards the radar and what's blowing away from the radar. So red would be toward, green would be away. I believe. I want to make sure I'm getting that straight with the Chicago radar here. Because we don't want to mistake a microburst. And I always tell my students that, and I give good examples of that on a screen. I've seen that before online. People show an image and they say, well, this has got rotation. It may have a tornado. And it's like, no, they're going the other direction. That's a microburst. So we got to make sure we're differentiating damaging wind, that straight line, or a microburst fanning outward versus a brief tornado spin up that we've got within this cluster of storms that's evolving right now. So if you're just joining me, we got 129 on this chat right now. And here's where we stand as a 254. We're in the midst of this 1 a.m. to 8 a.m. That's kind of what I went with in my forecast earlier yesterday, that is. The risk of damaging wind gusts. I can't rule out a brief, weaker tornado, EF0, maybe very low end EF1, and a little isolated hail, but certainly the biggest issue here will be the wind. But there's a tornado possible tag on a cluster of severe storms that are rolling out of Illinois. And one thing I do want to do before we go any farther with this is I'm going to go ahead and put the local storm reports on the screen. So again, not all of them get on the screen from the Weather Service because it takes someone physically typing one up and sending it out. So we want real-time data here, but what we can do is wipe that data on the screen, wipe at least the NWS or National Weather Service storm reports on the screen when they do send them out, and get some idea if a report has come out of damage or a brief tornado has been reported. We want to plot that on the screen. So again, not all the reports are going to get on here, but we'll go ahead and wipe that data on the screen. You can see back here, for example, this is an example of a report from the Weather Service. You can see right here, brief touchdown of a tornado from these storms near Peoria, Illinois, and that occurred earlier. Right now, there are the severe storms that are approaching Benton County. These are damaging straight line winds that I'm noticing in these storms that may be gusting, I think, up to 70 miles an hour, 60 to 70 miles an hour. And they're all kind of working their way into Benton County right now. Now, we can't completely rule out a brief tornado spin up here embedded in these damaging winds. That the main threat here, of course, is that wind. I can wipe on the hail tracker here too, and it is indicating some hail here. That's something that we're not necessarily going to see on a widespread scale with these storms tonight, but early in their evolution between these supercell clusters, we will see a little bit of isolated hail. And then once they elongate and broaden out and form a line, then the hail threat diminishes and the wind threat really begins to go up. So we'll wipe the rainfall data back on your screen, and there's that cluster of storms I'm watching. I'll tell you, the three areas I'm watching that we got to keep a close eye on is here, kind of back this way, and then back on this end here. Those are the areas that may have brief tornado spin-ups that I really want to keep a close eye on. And this one here is going to drop towards Ambia, Boswell, and northwestern Warren County. The damaging wind, and yes, even some hail, maybe up to quarter size. That's going to get into Fowler and Goodland and Remington and Brook here. And then you got another storm behind that with damaging wind and some hail. And right there by Chatsworth, Illinois, we've got to watch that tail end where there is some rotation on those storms. Now, I'll go ahead and wipe the rotation or the wind velocity back on the screen so you can get an idea of where that is. Again, it's these areas back here and sort of back here and this way that we've got to watch for the rotation. We know there's damaging wind and some hail here, and certainly damaging wind now coming into Benton County there in that bright red color. Those are strong, significant winds coming in at 60 to 70 miles an hour into Benton County as of 2:58 right now. And they're probably just knocking on the door of Kentland and Earl Park right now. Of course, there it is. There's the intense coloring there, the deep rust and purple colors indicating torrential rain, the hail, and the damaging wind coming in. We'll do another storm track because I think this is accelerating a little bit. I'm going to up the speed a little bit. We'll go with 35 miles an hour. I would rather be a little early with these than a little bit late. I want to keep you ahead of the storm. So rather than 25 miles an hour, it's apparent that these are speeding up a little bit. And I'll go ahead and let this loop, and you can see the storms right there. Again, we're still kind of dealing with a cluster of supercells here. We're waiting on the elongation of these and then forming a line that sweeps southeastward towards Lafayette and Attica and Delphi and Monticello. And if you weren't with me about 10 minutes ago, what I was drawing on the screen was we're going to go from these supercells to something that looks more like this with line, more of a line that's going to work its way southeastward and south-southeastward rather than east-southeastward with supercells. It'll be more of a Boeing line, and certainly a wind threat there as well. The only watch we have is Newton, Jasper, Benton County, severe thunderstorm watch. We're probably going to see a new watch issued downstream from this one that covers Tippecanoe County, covers Warren and Fountain, and also Montgomery, and over into Cass and Howard counties. Basically the rest of the forecast area. And I would expect that would likely occur in the next hour or two, you would think, because the storms will be exiting Benton, Newton, Jasper with time and then impacting more areas downstream, farther to the southeast. So we'll do it at 35. We'll do this first initial storm coming in with the warning. Again, keep in mind the warnings for another hour and 14 minutes. The threat here is got to watch for a brief tornado possible. Some hail in there, up to 1 inch in diameter. We're seeing that on radar now, and got 60 to 70 miles an hour with the damaging straight line winds here. So taking that into account, we'll adjust our timing to 35. I think we actually had it, I meant to go with 25 miles an hour. We actually had the speed at 20 a while ago. So this is going to be a good readjustment of the speed. A little more accurate because I think it is certainly speeding up just from the outside looking in here. So we'll take it this way and go all the way back to southeast of Stockton, Illinois. We're going to take this all the way down. Let's take it to Rossville. And let's pull this thing into Lafayette. We want to be safe. We want to, have a pretty broad cone or swath here to track these storms. So Fowler, 10 minutes. Remington, 26 minutes. Wolcott, 35. This seems like a much better representation of timing, I think. 36 at Round Grove, 35 minutes at Otterburn, half hour to Pine Village, Green Hill, 40. Now you get down here towards northern Tippecanoe County, Ash Grove 53 minutes, 55 minutes to Lafayette, Buck Creek 62, Americus, about an hour, more than an hour to Heath and Pettit, about an hour and 10 to Pettit actually, Dayton an hour and 7 minutes. So there's Radnor at an hour and 12, Piermont an hour and 10, Wasco hour 15. We're talking Rossville, about an hour and 19 minutes away. Adams Mill, about an hour 24. You get over to Edna Mills, about an hour and 13 minutes. Bringhurst, hour 22. Camden, hour 29. So this is closer to hour and a half to get to Camden. Rockfield, what is that, an hour and 16? We go to Delphi, more than an hour. And then finally towards Deer Creek, you're looking at a little more than an hour and a half to get to that location. There's Yeoman, a little more than an hour. Smithson, 49 minutes. Seafield, 40. Wolcott, 35. Fountain Park, Remington area, we're going to be in that around 26-minute range. You can see all the lightning and off to your northwest, and you can hear the thunder. Wadena, 13 minutes for the worst of it to get to your location, and the worst of it to get to Boswell, 17 minutes, and I would say around Talbot it's about the same thing. New severe thunderstorm warning is up for White County. This goes for 56 minutes, 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Cannot rule out a brief tornado either, and we gotta watch the hail. At least here in the beginning, with these being more supercellular, at first there's more of a hail threat, and then eventually it evolves into much more of a wind threat. So given all that, let's dig into, let's talk about threats here. So in the areas that have got the deep red and purple color here, now that's damaging wind right there. But this thumb on the tail end, I'd watch that thumb on that tail end of that storm that's moving towards Boswell and Ambia and Oxford, because that's the area I'm really watching for rotation and brief tornado spin up. The other area I have been watching is over here southwest of Woodland, Illinois. I'd watch that a little bit. And then let's watch this back end here to the east of Chatsworth, Illinois. Those areas are the pockets that we're going to watch for brief tornadoes. We don't have any tornado warnings, but the tornado possible tags are on the severe thunderstorm warnings to account for this. Doing an x-ray of these storms. So first things first, there's your high-res velocity. So what we're seeing here, the bright reds, those are damaging straight line winds that may be gusting 60 to 70 miles an hour. And then again, we're still watching that tail end for rotation. Was kind of watching it back here. That doesn't look as intense. And then the tail end back here too. And there may be some damaging winds evolving here on Gilman, Illinois. Now keep in mind, things have been moving kind of east-southeastward. They're still kind of doing that, but they're going to make more of a turn, I think, southeastward with time. But at the same time, remember what we're going to have. We're going to have these storms becoming a little more linear. So rather than supercell, kind of a supercell and a supercell, you're going to go from that mode to a mode like this, where you've got more of a line forming and things are turning southeast and you've got more of a wind threat here. And that evolution is going to occur here over the next, 1 to 2 hours. Keep in mind, just like I had in my forecast earlier to my forecast video, I want to go 1 a.m. to 8 a.m. for the severe weather threat. The wind, brief tornado, isolated hail threat, especially at first here, where some of the hail may be up to quarter size. There is the hail. So if we're going to get hail, it's coming into Earl Park. It's in Kentland. I would say in Kentland, you're likely getting the hail right now. If there is hail coming out of that storm, we're certainly showing a signature on radar with the vertically integrated liquid product that I've got on the screen. But, you're on Sheffield and Earl Park. If you're getting winds 60 to 70 and we've got some hail up to quarter size there, it's going to be loud. It's going to be a pretty violent thunderstorm, and we worry about crop damage. If we're going to get hail like that, we don't want a large amount of it. And we would rather have a few 1-inch diameter stones mixed with, quarter inch or pea-sized stones than just a bunch of quarter-sized or 1-inch stones coming down. So, but still, that hail is an issue west of Earl Park. Yeager's Curve, Sheffield, moving towards Gravel Hill. We got to watch Fowler. You may get a little hail. Wadena as well, and Goodland and Remington, you need to be ready for a little bit of hail as well. The potential's there, and certainly west of Freeland Park, and that's all headed towards Swanington and Atkinson as well here. So that's the hail we're tracking, and then behind it we got some other hail that's likely quarter size near Gilman, Illinois, northwest of Anarga and north of Danforth, and that's going to drop back southeastward too, closer to our forecast area. So that is where we stand right now, hail-wise. I'll even loop it a little bit for you, and you can see kind of the direction it's moving. You see where Lafayette is. You can see where Brookston and Chalmers and Wolcott and Round Grove and Oxford are located. And those hail cores that vary from pea to quarter size all drop into the southeast. It's the brighter pinks and the grays on the screen that I'm more concerned about. A little bigger hail. You're looking at nickels and quarters out of some of that. Now, we'll stop that for a second. Let's go back to our reflectivity again. And there's the movement of the storms coming in from the northwest. Again, here as a 309, the severe thunderstorm warnings are up for southern Newton, southern Jasper, all of Benton County, gusts 60 to 70. Can't rule out a brief tornado. EF0 to low end EF1, and you still got to watch that isolated hail. And I just showed you some of the hail product there, P to up to quarter size, and showed you where the largest hailstones are likely located. And there's your severe thunderstorm warning for White County. Again, brief tornado can't completely be ruled out here. Your isolated hail and certainly those wind gusts 60 to 70 miles an hour right as we speak. One thing that I would like to do, I'm going to loop this a little bit. As you can see, the damaging wind surging towards Benton County, and I want to see what kind of wind we are getting around Kentland. And if I can pull up some data here from northwestern Benton County. I've got the product on. If there's a severe report, it will automatically plot it on the screen here from the National Weather Service, but there's no guarantee that they're going to be typing those up and sending those out. So we're trying to get real-time live data on wind gusts that we're seeing in these storms. So again, if you're just joining me and you haven't seen me really analyzing the radar yet, these are damaging winds you're seeing right here. Likely 60 to 70 miles an hour. And we're likely getting a wind surge here near Danforth, Illinois. Maybe it's surging below the radar beam, but we may be getting damaging wind there as well. And the two areas I've been watching for rotation are kind of down here on the far southern end, northwest of Ambia. I want to watch that. These winds are blowing away from the Chicago radar, just like that. But the greens are blowing toward. So we're looking for a green and a red that's brighter and tightening up a little bit. So this would be wind that's blowing away, greens blowing towards. So if we're getting rotation here, it's going to be right there at Wellington, Illinois. I'll take in a little bit tighter there. It's not overly tight, but that's the area of concern to me right now. And it looks like the radar data has updated. We're getting gusts. We just had a gust to, look here. Yeah, just east of Morocco, we had a gust of 43. The winds aren't as high up there, but that's still a decent gust. Wind out of the southwest, gust of 43. East of Morocco. North of Morocco, it looks like the gust was... I'll have to pull up this data. Bear with me for one moment. Looks like the gust there was... from that station, the gust was 34. So... that's where we are. The gust here, 34, and then we had a gust over here to 43, 10 meters up, right there. So that's where we stand right now. I don't have the Kentland data just yet, but we're waiting on that. That should be coming down. And then I know we've got an observer in Brook. I don't know how high that anemometer is, but we want to see just kind of what we're getting there as well. And the winds are just, I know the winds are sustained at 23 right now. And that is just to the southwest of Brook with the wind. But the worst of it is certainly Benton County. I mean, that's where the worst of the wind is located. And I'm just covering all my bases here. I want to go back and make sure that all of my warnings are up and where they need to be. So we'll go down here, and our tornado warning is up. We've got all the warnings that are up right now. I always like to do like a quality control check here to make sure all of our data is coming in and streaming as it should. So giving you a kind of a reset right now, because we're getting a lot more people coming in to view coverage now. So here's where we stand as of 3:15 in the morning here in the home studio in the old weather office. Severe thunderstorm warning for White, Southern Newton, Southern Jasper, Benton counties. Not trying to be repetitive if you're still on here and you've been on here for the whole time, but I want to let people know that are just coming in here what's going on. So there's your warning for White County for another 45 minutes, and there's the other warning off to the west. That's in it for an hour. Southern Newton, Southern Jasper, and all of Benton County, and a lot of White counties under that warning. It's pretty much Monon, Monticello, and southwestward. Now, here are the threats. The main threat here, it's obvious from a radar standpoint that there's a lot of wind that's available in this storm, damaging straight line wind that we got to watch. We're going to be flipping radar sources here in a second to get a better vantage point. We'll flip between northern Indiana and Indianapolis right now. We've got the Romeoville radar that is up, and we know that we've already had a wind gust to 43 kind of east of Morocco. Now, just north of Morocco, our station there had a gust of 34. We know we're sustained in the 20s at Brook under the warning. I haven't gotten any data that's updated out of Kentland just yet. But anywhere you see these brighter reds, we certainly have the risk of getting winds 60 to 70 miles an hour right here. And when we loop this, I'll go ahead and loop it for you so you can see the direction of that core damaging wind. It's going to get all of Benton County, and then we got to watch parts of White County. We got to watch northern Warren, and then we got to keep an eye on Tippecanoe County because that's where the storms are headed. One area of concern, certainly it's not only the wind that I circled, but the tail end of this storm that may rotate at times. There may be transient rotation from time to time that we'll have to keep an eye on. That was near Wellington. It's approaching Ambia right now. The tornado possible tag is on the warnings. So you may have no tornado warning, but we may have a quick spin up here on the tail end of those storms. And I would just keep an eye on that whole area down here. That particular zone for a spin up of a tornado, EF0 to low end EF1 sort of thing. That's not a major tornado, but it's enough, that can cause roof damage, knock trees, power lines down, destroy barns, things like that. I'm not saying that's what we have right now. We don't see that necessarily on radar, but the conditions are there for something like that to happen. And then behind this, there's another storm that may very well produce damaging wind, and we've got to watch the tail end of that one too. That may rotate, and we got to watch tornado risk with that as well. So wiping the data back on the screen, the rainfall data, the reflectivity, if you will, you can see what's happening, and it's happening as planned. So we've had the supercells, the supercell cluster, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a bowing segment form. And then this storm to the west and this storm here kind of merging with it. So again, like I've been saying, what we're going to see is an evolution towards more of a bowing line of storms like this that makes the move kind of turn southeastward. And we transition from damaging wind, possible tornado risk, and some hail risk to more and more of just a lot of damaging wind, scattered severe gusts with this elongating line. It will become linear with time, and we can see that evolution occurring now. The two we had three supercells. Now we got kind of a cluster, and that front one especially beginning the bowing process, and the other one will catch up to it, and we're going to see everything kind of fan out and move southeastward with a wind threat here. So now's a good time to do a storm track, because when they start to make this evolution, they speed up. And we started out tracking this thing at what? I think I did 20 miles an hour. I meant to do 25. Then I upped it to 35. Well, now look what we've got from the Weather Service. Now they're moving it at 45 miles an hour. So this is typical when you are transitioning storm mode. This is surging forward now, and the damaging wind threat will be going up a little more. So it's moving at 45. So we got to redo our storm tracks. We got to re-examine this storm as of 3:20. So we'll take it. We again get ready in Remington. Get ready east of Fowler. You're getting hit hard right now in Goodland and Fowler and north of Ambia and north of Boswell and just southeast of Carbondale. Not only the wind, but again, I'll wipe the hail data back on the screen. Look at that. I mean, anywhere you see the red, orange, pink, I mean, those are P's. Those could be dimes or penny-sized hail. And where you see that gray, again, near that area or within that pocket, there could be a few quarter-sized hailstones mixed in. And when you combine that with winds of 60 to 70, it's quite a violent thunderstorm that you have. And even a little small hail into southern Newton County as well. And a little hail may clip by Boswell and Ambia. And again, everything's making its way east-southeastward and southeastward. And don't let your guard down because there are other storms kind of back building that may impact Benton County and everybody else. Remember, the storms are evolving. They're going to take that bowing linear shape with time and swing through the area. Again, my whole point today was, hey, this is going to be a 1 a.m. to 8 a.m. kind of scenario for some severe weather risk. And that's what we've got going on now. What's fascinating, we'll get back to tracking here in just a second, but remember, we were capped today. We had a couple storms in the northeast, otherwise a few little showers, that was it. The sun heats that smoke layer, it warms it, the soot, the ash absorb the sunlight, it heats up, and it forms a cap. And then at night, when the sun goes down, what happens to that layer? Well, the soot and the ash and the smoke in general are not getting the solar radiation. So what happens to that cap? Well, it cools and it weakens. And we're able to get storms tonight. We're able to get nocturnal severe weather. And that's going to be kind of the MO, I think, this week. Models are all over the place. But I like the notion of better potential severe at night and early mornings than necessarily the middle of the afternoons, at least right now, because I think this thick layer of smoke is going to inhibit a lot of more afternoon storm development. And we're loaded. We get these multiple little disturbances that are going to come through. And they're right on the periphery of this dome of heat that is down in Missouri and Kansas. There's your warning. New severe thunderstorm warning for Tippecanoe, Western Carroll, Northern Fountain, and Northern Warren counties for gusts 60, maybe 70. And again, we got to watch for a little bit of hail in that storm too. And, we will still watch the tornado possible. There's not a tag on it. And I think the Weather Service probably did that because it's becoming more linear. But let's still keep an eye on that as it's moving southeastward. So there are your warnings. There's the Tippecanoe, the Warren warning, the Western Carroll warning, the Northern Fountain for an hour and 7 minutes. There's your White County warning for 37 minutes. And there's your Benton, Southern, Newton, Southern Jasper warning for 52 minutes. All right, so this is moving at 45. We'll take it at 45 miles an hour here. And work it southeastward, kind of east-southeastward and southeastward with time. Again, if you're just joining me, we've got multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that are now up. We're 6 minutes from 3:30 in the morning. You're thinking, okay, the kids have school tomorrow. What's it going to be looking like in the morning? We've got to get these storms through over the next, 4 hours. There still may be impacts even at that time. Again, original thinking was generally about 1 a.m. to 8 a.m. That was my original thinking for the storms that kind of work their way through. We'll take this all the way down to Frankfort, Michigantown, and Colfax. We want to get in front of it. We'll do a general track southeastward. So here we are. So Reynolds, 29 minutes. Monticello, it's about a half an hour away. Chalmers, it's a little less than a half an hour away. Yeoman, 37 minutes. Sleeth, 37 minutes. Round Grove, 15. Badger Grove, 20 minutes. Brookston, it's a little less than a half an hour. There's Delphi, 40 minutes to get to your location. Get ready for severe wind gusts. Got to watch for some hail too. Rockfield, 47 minutes. Camden, 49. Flora, 51 minutes. Radnor, 44. Owasco, 45 minutes. Now, Adams Mill, Cutler area, it's less than an hour away. Lexington, 55 minutes. Now, it's an hour away along that 75 corridor from Deer Creek all the way down to Burlington and even Middle Fork, right there on 26, that intersection. Sedalia, 54 minutes. Rossville, 49 minutes. Edna Mills, 44. Pettit, 42. Now, we're a half an hour from downtown Lafayette, but the west side's different. Klondike, it's only 24 minutes away. Purdue Research Park, 26 minutes. Montmorency, 20 minutes away as this thing's accelerating. Elston area, southwest side, 31 minutes. Shadeland, half an hour. West Point, about a half an hour. Masons Ridge, 36 minutes. North Crane, 39. There's Dayton at 40 minutes. Wyandotte, 42. Concord, 41. Stockwell, 45. Romney, 41 minutes for the severe storm to get there. Clarksville, 50 minutes. Colfax, a little less than an hour. About an hour to Antioch. It's an hour to Frankfort. Michigan Town, it's an hour and 5. Forest, an hour and 8. And then eventually Rushville, hour 10. Young America, a little more than an hour to get to your location. There's Warren County. Kramer, 25. Carbondale, 24. Independence, 26. Banning Corner, 23. Now, I'm going to do a track for Attica here in just a second. I'm going to get the fringe of that warning. Hooker Corner, 15 minutes. Otterburn, it's really knocking on your back door. 10, 15 minutes away for the severe part to get to your location. What I'd like to do is go ahead and let's do a track for this edge of this warning. We'll wipe that off. And we'll do something like this. Let's do this back in right here. And we'll bring it the best I can with tracking down here. So West Lebanon, 28 minutes. Rob Roy, 38. It's about a half an hour, 35 minutes from Attica. Williamsport, 33. Newtown, 45 minutes. Malott, 47. Wingate, 51 minutes. And it's about an hour to Cherry Grove. And it's more than an hour to Crawfordsville. Hedrick, 21. Stewart, 18. Pence, 16. Sycamore Corner, 21. Judyville, 23 minutes to get to your location. So that is where we stand right now with the warnings that are up in the area. And I'd like to go ahead and just do the top part of this line for White County. I want to do that. Let's get this part of it and just move it a little more east-southeast. Something like that. So we get everybody here. Sitka, 22 minutes. Reynolds, 13 minutes. Indiana Beach, 20 minutes away. Idaville, about a half an hour. It's about a half an hour from Burnettsville. Lake Sycamore, more than a half an hour. And there's Climbers at about 43 minutes away from you. Get ready for the potential of gusts 60 to 70, some hail, and we still have to watch brief tornado spin up here for a little bit. So let's dissect the storm. So there's the overview. We've had 3 supercells. They gelled into kind of a cluster. And now things are beginning to elongate a little bit more like so. And I think eventually we're going to get more of a line with time. And this thing's going to probably move southeastward up here and then turn more southeastward down this way and impact our area. Now, the good news is for the far north, it looks pretty good right now. This is impacting areas just a little bit farther to the south. But when we really dig into this thing, we can see those damaging winds. And I want to go ahead here and see what we've got wind-wise going on, because I know east of Morocco we had a gust of 43. Not severe, but still quite gusty. And I want to see what kind of wind we're getting out of this from what stations we've got available in Benton County, and then also towards Pine Village as well. So I'm going to wipe some of this data on over here so I can keep you updated with real-time gust information. You know, these stations, a lot of them, some of them update every 30 seconds. A lot of them, it's every few minutes that they're updating. Okay, so again, I want to get into Benton County, if at all possible, and then that southern Newton County area to see what kind of wind we're getting. We can see it's apparent we've probably got some severe gusts here from a radar standpoint, but it's always good to have that 10-meter wind measurement data coming in. And what gives me a clue that we're probably getting some severe gusts mixing down in places anyway, it may not be solid, but in places, is the barometers are rising very rapidly once the storms pass. You get a sharp pressure drop and then just a big pressure rise. I mean, some of these barometers are rising rapidly out here. You know, I noticed that with the, and I'm still trying to pull up data here from Kentland. I got the barometric pressure, which is really rising fast after it tanked when those storms blew through. Okay. So far, after the 43 near Morocco, we had a gust to 54 at Kentland. I'm just gonna keep track of my wind here. Our station just north of Morocco, 34, and then the private station just to the east of Morocco, 43, gust to 54 at Kentland. And then I want to keep measuring the wind downstream here. There's no guarantee that all of this wind energy is making it down to the ground, but I would say in some places it is making it down to the ground, and we're probably getting some intense gusts here. Again, it's not everybody, but we see it on radar from a current standpoint of some pretty intense gusts, and we may be getting some hail too. I'm just going through some of your reports that you are sending. And again, be aware. Yeah, I have a question. Audio problems. Be aware. Maybe it will cut out every now and then, but so far I think we're doing okay from the levels I'm reading on my screen. It is hailing in Fowler, or at least it was just recently. The worst of that's pulled away. Okay, light show. Hail northeast of Earl Park. If anyone has a good estimate of hail size, that would be great. Very much appreciated. Hailing in Fowler. Yeah, getting the hail reports are coming out of Earl Park and Fowler. Hailing just west of Round Grove. Thank you so much. Just hugely helpful, these reports. I can't thank you all enough. Wind's picking up in Pine Village right now. Just a lot of thunder and lightning reports, a lot of rolling thunder here as well. But any hail size reports, very great. Okay, good. Thank you, Troy. Pea-sized hail west of Round Grove. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take Troy's report, just hugely helpful, and we'll go in here. And that's, Troy, your hail may be getting a little bigger soon. because it looks like some of the larger hail is just west of you, that maybe dimes, maybe some pennies. The good news is the hail size is decreasing. See that gray spot, how it just disappeared? Well, that tells me we are indeed undergoing the evolution between the supercells or supercell clusters to Boeing line. So you get smaller hail size typically when you're transitioning to that Boeing line of storms. The wind product we'll put back on the screen. And there it is, west of Oxford through Fowler. We got a station here that's just about to get the wind east of Fowler. So I really want to watch and see what the gusts end up there. We're getting gustiness. I'm getting reported in Benton County, but I haven't had a report yet of truly severe wind. The highest gust measured at 10 meters was at Kentland with 54 miles an hour. But that is not where the highest winds have been occurring. It's all been Benton County. And Pine Village, you're right on the edge of some of that higher wind that is coming in right now. It's that bright red area, and there's another batch of some pretty high wind behind it. And those winds may gust 60 to 70. This area may see winds gusting 60 to 70 as well. And keep in mind, the hail size has decreased, but peas and pennies and dimes are still possible out of this. Moving east, southeastward, and southeastward right now. With the storms transitioning to more of a little bit more of a linear form, at least for now, we don't see the alarm for tornadoes. I was seeing it at first, but we're not seeing that quite as much now. I will tell you that I'd like to keep my eye on this tail end. If we see a more intense storm form on that tail, and that hangs on and drifts towards Covington, that would be an area of brief EF0 to low end EF1 tornado risk to watch. But for now, anyway, it's just the wind and some hail mixed up in that wind, as well as what I'm watching. No wind at Brookston at the moment. I'm getting a lot of reports of wind picking up. Pea-sized hail at Earl Park. That's good. We don't have quarters. We had a signature of some bigger hail nearby. No hail at Oxford. And I'm getting my email and your reports. Some losing internet. Troy, dime-sized hail. So the hail's gotten bigger. 40 mile per hour gusts right now. Let's go back to radar, and there's the stronger wind just west of Round Grove right now. The worst of it is Oxford, Pine Village, and then west of Round Grove. So if we're going to get severe gusts in Round Grove and Otterburn, well, they're just off to your west. And if we're going to get that wind energy down to the ground, it's going to occur at those locations within the next 10 minutes to perhaps 15 minutes. Again, the bright red area, that's where we got the best shot at damaging winds right there. And they're moving kind of this way and also dropping down towards Lafayette and West Lafayette, hence the severe thunderstorm warning that is up right now. And we'll wipe the hail on the screen one more time before we do a reset here. There it is. Peas, some dimes and pennies. We've had pea and dime hail here, well, west of Round Grove anyway, and we're probably getting some peas and some dimes here. Haven't had hail reported at Oxford yet, and then likely a little bit of hail out here towards Boswell and also Ambia. And again, everything's moving towards Green Hill, Pine Village, north of Kramer, Lafayette, Klondike, West Lafayette, Battleground, Brookston. Those places are in for that. And in Earl Park, you've already had some hail, but you got a little bit more to your northwest. But you may have a little more wind too, because you can see the wind that's off to your northwest as well. And these two areas of wind will likely kind of converge, and we're going to form kind of one main bow of potential of damaging gusts. And it's been a gradual process, but that's eventually going to occur here within the next hour, I would say, with these storms. Already, it's really morphing together here into that Boeing line structure I've been talking about, moving to the southeast. So let's do a reset. So here we are. All right, it is 3:40 in the morning. We are in that cusp of, we're in that time period for severe, slight risk between 1 a.m. and 8 a.m. is kind of what I've been going for. Hopefully we can trim that time down, and this is all out of here by 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. But parts of the area where kids are going to school will be impacted. I mean, the best thing that could happen is we get this thing through, kids are fine getting to the bus stop. This thing's blowing up tonight because we were capped most of the day because of the smoke, largely. The sun heats the ash and the soot and that smoke, and we form a cap because it warms and dries that layer. At night, you don't have the sun. The layer cools, the cap is released, it's breached, and we've got these little disturbances pivoting up and around this hot upper ridge in the plains. This is the ring of fire pattern, and this cluster of severe storms riding up and around the ridge. And here it is tonight with the cap released. Here we go. We've got the severe storms that are underway in the area. Storm track wise, I believe this is still moving at 45. Weather Service has it moving at 30. I think it's going to accelerate. I would rather put the track at 45 because I think Indy has it moving at 30, and the Northern Indiana office has 35, and Chicago has it moving at 40. I would rather go a little bit faster, to be honest, because I think it's going to accelerate more, and I would rather be ahead of the game with you and have you be prepared than have this thing come in early. So yeah, I've got it set at 45 miles an hour already. We'll draw another storm track. Let's loop this one more time to get a nice vantage point of the movement. So the White County part's a little more east-southeastward, whereas the part coming into Tippecanoe County and Warren County is more southeastward. So we will account for that. We'll pause it now. Let's go ahead and draw it out moving southeastward. We'll take this part of the round of storms first and drop it southeastward at 45. So here we are. We'll start up here in Tippecanoe County in Purdue at the Purdue Research Park. I would say, it's 20 minutes away. It's certainly less than a half an hour from downtown Lafayette. Same thing at Shadeland, South Side, less than a half an hour. West Point 19. Again, these times won't always be perfect, but it's the best idea. And again, when storms are evolving from one mode to another, really three modes, if you will, the three supercells, then a cluster, and now we're bulging outward. When we're evolving like that, the speed is changing. Those tend to accelerate when you're undergoing that kind of transition. Monitor 37 minutes, 37 to Dayton, North Crane 34. Concord 34, Romney 31, Gladen's Corner 36 minutes. Now Stockwell 38, Monroe out there on 52, 41, Clarks Hill 43, 38 to Wyandotte. You got Mulberry 44 minutes. The Frankfurt Airport is about 55 minutes. Fickle's 45, Manson's 52, Antioch's 58 minutes. More like an hour to Cyclone in south of Reagan, like Mechanicsburg in northern Boone County. Kirkland, hour and 8 minutes. Now you get to Thorntown, it's about 55 minutes. Lebanon, closer to an hour. And finally Dover, west of Lebanon, closer to an hour. Montgomery County, so if you're up around Linden, New Richmond, or Wingate, it's anywhere from about a half an hour to just a little more than that. Now you get to the city of Crawfordsville, and you go over to Darlington. It's more like 45 minutes away from you. But Waynetown's a little more than a half an hour for the severe weather to come in. Mace, less than an hour, and a little more than an hour to get to Advance. So there's Steam Corner at 35 minutes, Petersburg 29, Hillsboro half an hour, Covington about a half an hour, Malott 26 minutes, Stone Bluff 24, Newtown 22, Rob Roy 18, West Lebanon 17, Attica 12 minutes, Hedrick 18, Johnsonville 23, and there's Kramer minutes away, Independence 11 minutes, there's Odell at 19 minutes to get to your location. Let's do the other part of this. I want to go into Wyatt. I want to get into Carroll County as well. So we will do this part of the line. I'm still just going to go with 45 minutes here. So we'll take it all the way to Battleground and kind of move it east-southeast, or a little more here. So there's Monticello in 10, 11 minutes. Yeoman 9, Rockfield 19 minutes, Delphi 13, Bringhurst 25, Radnor 20, the Cutler area, again, less than a half an hour. We've been tracking it to the 75 corridor for more than an hour. Now we get the timing down to about 32 minutes roughly. Deer Creek to Burlington. Young America, a little more than a half an hour. Deacon 37 minutes, and Idaville 17 minutes. The Lake Sycott area, I would say it's about 19 minutes away. Climbers 28 to get to that location. The threat here, it's the wind threat is increasing more so now, because this thing is becoming a little bow. It's starting to become linear. So the wind issue is the big thing now. Now I'm using the Indianapolis radar now, wiping that data on the screen, and you can see it right here. So to get our bearing straight, this is green is wind blowing towards the radar, red is away. So red is away, green is toward. So from this standpoint, the strongest winds are west of Otterman and near Green Hill and north of Independence. We'll minus the speed and just let's focus on where we think the highest winds are. They show up better here. This is where the highest wind is going to be, and it's really just northwest of Green Hill, and then another pocket of damaging wind, 60 to 70, off to the southwest of Earl Park. So those two areas are the areas I'm watching for the biggest part of the damaging wind. Now elsewhere, we know for a fact, outside of the more intense gusts, we've had gusts more than 40. We've had gusts more than 45. We had a 54 at Kentland. And we've had a 43 east of Morocco. So we know it's gusty even up here in White County, even if you're outside of the two main areas of damaging wind. But these are the two areas that most warrant the alarm for damaging wind, at least right now. Let's see here. There's storming good at Pine Village. And just the reports of a beautiful light show from the storms. And that's the Cape. That's the instability. And these storms rising to such a height to produce a lot of ice up in that storm, a lot of ice crystals. And you develop those charges that you develop between the ground and those ice crystals, you really produce some really good lightning. You need good Cape. Really Cape-rich environments produce some of the best lightning that you're going to see. And we've been holding that boiling Cape in all day with the smoky, warm cap. I had Ryan had asked about the rainfall rates. And indeed, when we've had dew points in the 70s today, so yeah, extremely heavy rainfall. We've got 3 to 4 inch per hour rainfall rates coming down as well. So we can see that rain coming in from the northwest Very high rainfall rates here. Now, there's probably some hail contamination in some of that orange. And we're kind of getting away from the ND radar, but you get the idea. We're getting a good solid inch of rain. I'll look at some gauges here in a moment, but definitely some heavy rainfall is occurring in these storms. At least the storms aren't necessarily training a lot per se, but still pretty intense rates of rainfall here. So there's where we stand right now. I'm going to loop this. And the reports received so far, from what I can see, so if you're just joining me, so it's 3:50 right now. We're tracking the severe storms in the area. We've got the warnings up for Benton, Southern White, Western Carroll, much of Tippecanoe, Northern Fountain, and Northern Warren counties for gusts 60 to 70. Little hail mixed in. Not a severe hail at this point. It's mainly peas and dimes and some pennies in those darker cores you see in that line of storms. And the tornado possible risk has come down, but we still can't 100% rule it out. But we've had pea to dime size hail reported at Fowler, Earl Park, and northeast of Earl Park. And then we had dime and pea hail west of Round Grove. And I need to see what our gust was at Round Grove too. So I'm going to loop this on the screen. I'm going to keep it up there. I'll zoom in a little bit for you as the storms are rolling in right now with the warnings. And then we'll dig in tighter and look at some of the wind up in these storms once again. But I want to see what kind of wind we've had so far with these. Because it seems like the wind's not all solid. It's not like everybody's getting gusts 60 to 70. That's not the case here. It appears there are little pulses of damaging wind that are likely occurring in the storms, mainly clustered around Otterburn and then south of Earl Park. And the rest of it, we probably still are getting some gusts 30, 35, 40, 45 miles an hour with the storms. It looks like the gust east, let me wipe the wind data back on the screen, and we'll just take this product right here. Again, you can obviously see where the best chance of damaging wind is located. I mean, it is right here, and it's right down here, just northeast of Attica. So we'll see if we kind of get clipped by that wind with that Attica station east of there. So it looks like the peak gust west of Pine Village was 44. East of Fowler, I'll bring that up here on my page. So east of Fowler. Okay, we did have a gust of 55 east of Fowler. That's not where the strongest wind was. Again, I'll loop it. We'll go back and we'll loop that on the screen. You can see that's not where the strongest wind was located. That is actually out here. And that gust was 55 at 10 meters. And the gust at Remington was not that high either. It was not as high as east of Fowler, but that's the highest gust we've had so far. It just beat Kentland at 10 meters, 55. So we can expect some of that wind at probably, so it's got to be higher down here in the Green Hill area and southeast of Green Hill. And we'll see what the gusts get at the Purdue Airport, which, is down this way here. It does that little bypass right around the airport. The highway does, 231. So it is here, and it is here that I'm watching for the best chance of getting gusts 60 to 70 miles an hour, dropping this way. So Pine Village, get ready again. We'll wait and see if this wind energy can make it to the surface. And then let's watch that area around Otterburn and south of Otterburn for potential random gusts that reach 60 to 70 miles an hour. Because that could happen at any point as the storms are working southeastward. And if you're just joining me, we did have some hail. We've had hail reports coming out of the Fowler, Earl Park areas, west of Round Grove, pea to dime size so far. And looking at the, let's see here, the gust at Round Grove. Yeah, the gust at Round Grove was actually 48. So we're still getting some decent gusts there, but the worst of it, again, is just southwest of Lafayette, where you see that light green or that white color. Those are the two strongest gusts, or pockets of gusts, in the area. So there's where we are as of, 5 minutes before 4, with the line dropping. The White County part a little more east-southeastward, the rest of it dropping southeastward, starting to bow out more and more. Doesn't look the most organized, but still, we've had we had the 55 east of Fowler. Pine Village gusted to 44. We got another surge of wind coming into Pine Village. Kentland 54. East of Morocco 43, north of Morocco 34, and Round Grove 48 as the storms blew through. In terms of hail, so here's where we are hail-wise right now. This does not look to be quarter size, but we're likely getting pea size, maybe up to dime size here, and this could be a little bit bigger west of Pine Village. This is probably up to pennies and nickels, and this is all peas and dimes here too. So there's still a little bit of hail hanging on, even though it's becoming linear with time. We still see wind with the wind signatures here. We still got a little hail mixed in this batch of storms. And again, heavy rainfall rates. Rainfall total wise, so we picked up 1 1/3 inches in Kentland. We've had 73 hundredths just east of Fowler. The Round Grove gauge is up to 19 hundredths. Atkinson, we've got pushing 6/10. And Boswell's picked up 2/3 so far. Remington, not so much. Remington kind of got clipped by all this. The wind wasn't that high, and I'll go to Marianne's gauge here that I can get. We'll go back to that, and again, I can't say enough how much I appreciate all of you with your weather stations, because it's just extremely helpful, and it helps everyone. It really helps everyone track weather in our area. So Marianne, you've only had 19 hundredths of an inch, and I know Mike in Remington has only had 17 hundredths of an inch of rainfall. So not as much in Remington, kind of getting clipped by all this. Again, the worst of it is southern Benton County, northern Warren, and it's coming into northwest Tippecanoe County right now, right as we speak. So just get ready for some of this sub-severe hail. I'll wipe that back on the screen. There it is. Get ready for it. It's about right here and then goes all the way back to near Boswell, to Otterburn, it's Pine Village. Everything's moving towards Greater Lafayette. And the wind. So where's the best chance of getting really severe gusts? 60 to 70? Well, let's wipe that data on the screen. There it is. It could get into parts of Greater Lafayette. I mean, that is the worst of the wind that I'm seeing from a radar standpoint. And then back here north of Oxford, headed right for Pine Village. Those two areas. Now, Western Carroll County, you're under a warning. When we go to the radar screen, though, you're kind of missing out on the worst of this. Now, elsewhere, outside of those two clusters of potential severe gusts I showed you, you still may be getting gusts 40 miles an hour. Because remember, just on the edge of these storms, we had the 43 up by Morocco. So still be ready for that here. A little bit of gustiness as this brief bout of storms comes through Yeoman and Delphi. But it's mainly Tippecanoe County and northern Warren, northern Fountain, and southern Benton. Get ready for the southern part of Warren County, Fountain County, southern Tippecanoe, Montgomery, and Clinton County. Get ready for warnings that may be up ahead. So there's the leading edge of the storms, moving right over the research park, right over the Purdue Airport right now. We'll be tracking the wind at the airport. I'm going to pull up that data right now. And we'll be tracking that wind. Let's go back here. Wind gust. At least right now, the winds are 21 miles an hour at the ag farm on the northwest side. Let's see here. And looks like the gusts are not severe there. They're not severe, which is a great thing. We don't want the severe gusts. We don't want trees down. We don't want damage. So far, so good at the ag farm, but that data's got to update. So let's see what we've got here. Unfortunately, the Purdue Airport weather station is down. The last observation, that was a while ago, unless it's come back online. I'm getting no data from that weather station whatsoever. And if you click online, you're going to get a not available signal. I have another way that I might be able, if it is working and it's just a communication issue, let me try to pull that up on the screen for you. Because my goal is to give you real-time data. You want real-time. So let's see what we've got. Let's type this in. One moment. We're just about there. Again, I'm going to broaden that radar screen out. What I'm trying to do is just access data for you. Okay. There's that. There we go. Kind of just thinking on the fly here and just seeing if I can access that Purdue data. So the last update was 10:05 at the Purdue Airport. So we don't have we're not going to have data from the Purdue Airport to really get a good wind measurement. But I do have some others I can get. Okay. And even if you're not necessarily getting gusts 60 to 70, there's a lot of thunder and lightning out there with this tonight. Okay. Let's do a storm track now. As of 4:03 in the morning, keeping in mind that we've got, at least for now, the thinking is risk up to about 8 a.m. I went from 1 to 8 in the forecast today. We'll go ahead and do the storm track. Be prepared for the potential of a gust of 60 to 70. Not everybody's going to get that, but be prepared for that. Be prepared for some sub-severe hail from these storms. So we will move it southeastward. Get out in front of it, move it at about 45 miles an hour, off to the southeast, like so, something like that. And there are the times of arrival. So Buck Creek, 26 minutes, Dayton, 22. We've got Concord 18, Romney 15. It's blasting into downtown right now and over the Chauncey Village area and up towards, as you're headed up to the Battleground Vet Clinic up that way and the Purdue Research Park area and the big curve where you go on the hiking trail that takes you to Happy Hollow, and it's all along 25 as well. Moving southeastward, Edna Mills, half an hour to Maddox Corner, less than a half an hour to Mulberry. Frankfort area, 40, about roughly 40 minutes to Antioch. Cyclone, about 47 minutes. It's about a half an hour from Colfax. Darlington's about half an hour away, half an hour to Crawfordsville and Yountsville. Waynetown, 24 minutes, half an hour to Steam Corner. Covington, half an hour. We got about 20 minutes to Stone Bluff. You head down to Alamo, a little bit more than half an hour. Waveland, roughly 40 minutes. Mace, 37. Lebanon, 50 minutes. 40-45 Mechanicsburg, a little more than a half an hour to Thorntown. And Kirkland, 52 minutes. The storm's coming right through downtown West Lafayette and Lafayette right now, and through Shadeland right as we speak, and it's approaching Mason's Ridge, southeast side, Meadowbrook, Monitor area too. So those are the directions that this kind of Boeing cluster of storms is moving. It's not elongating much here in Illinois. Now, I wonder if there's just, the sun's not up to heat the smoke layer and really warm it and strengthen the cap, but I wonder if that's what's going on over here in Illinois. We're not getting much elongation of the storms into Illinois. And then just a few showers and a little thunder and lightning that are up here, Denver to Logansport. That's all we've got there. This is truly looking like a tip. It's Tippecanoe, it's Warren, it's Fountain, and then Southern Carroll, Clinton, those areas. So it'll likely end up, moving kind of like this. You'll have a Boeing line here that will keep moving down this way, like so. And the wind threat will still be there, too. So we'll do a little analysis as of 4:07. Again, there could be a little bit of hail mixed in some of this. The data indicates that on the screen. Mostly sub-severe hail. It's a little bit bigger around Rainsville. That's probably pennies and nickels. And also around Ambia. These are probably peas and dimes that may be impacting parts of West Lafayette, headed for Lafayette now too. And some peas up towards Boswell can't completely be ruled out. All moving southeastward. There's the data updating. Around the Purdue Airport, a little hail, and also sub-severe hail east of West Point, and potential of some severe hail Chatterton, south of Rainsville, and north of Carbondale and around Judyville, moving southeastward too. And there's your velocity. So I've just got the straight up high-res velocity so it shows up better on the screen. There's your storm relative, and that's when we subtract the speed of the storm. Now let's go into high-res velocity, where we got the best shot of getting a gust 60 to 70. It's going to be like right through here. So it's going to be kind of that West Point, Shadeland area, very close to the south side, Purdue Airport area. And then also, once again, Green Hill, Pine Village, Chatterton area. These two areas have the best shot at getting that wind severe. Now, if you're just joining me, the history of these storms. We've had pea to dime sized hail in Benton County. Fowler, Earl Park area, northeast of Earl Park, around Round Grove, and the gusts have been 54 Kentland, 55 east of Fowler. Gusts near 50 at Round Grove, 44 Pine Village at last check. And east of Morocco, 43, just north of Morocco, gusts to 34. So the highest gust we've had has been in eastern Benton County. But if you look closely, the main cores of wind have not passed over where these weather stations are located. So we're probably getting severe gusts here. We're just not able to measure it, and they're in very rural areas that it's just not been reported here yet. So, just looking through the reports in my email, and and reports here in the feed. Not getting a lot of wind reports, which is a good thing. Even if we're seeing it on radar, hopefully it's not reaching the ground. We don't want 60, 70 mile per hour gusts reaching the ground. So 35 miles an hour from Ryan Harbor, great report. That is very helpful. Hail West Lafayette. I just saw a West Lafayette hail report. And I can hear the hail here at the house. And the wind blowing very strongly. Hail Hooker Corner. You have multiple reports of hail in West Lafayette now. Hail Shaylin pea-sized. So we're getting small hail. I'm not seeing a lot of what I would call damaging wind reports, but I'll tell you, if we're going to get some damaging wind, it's going to be southwest and south side of Lafayette, near that area, and around Shaylin right now, and also around Green Hill and to the south of Pine Village. And we may have some hail mixed up in that too, in some of that wind. Let's wipe this back on the screen. There we go. Fairly small but linear, I guess you call a line. I almost still call this a cluster. It's kind of a linear cluster of storms. It's had trouble building westward. It's kind of in a sweet spot where the cap is breached and it's all going up. So there's your warning. Again, still for Tippecanoe County. Western Carroll, this is really a Tippecanoe County storm more so now. It's that front end is kind of falling apart, and we're just not doing much in Logansport or north of Peru. We're having trouble getting storms going there, and I don't know. That could very well be a situation where you get thick smoke, and it does impact storms in some ways. And when you warm that layer up of smoke, you create a cap, and we may still have some residual capping issues despite the sun setting east of Lafayette. Now, we're in the spot here in Lafayette and Williamsport and Pine Village where we're okay. The storms are going up pretty easily. But they're moving at a fairly good clip too, so we're not necessarily getting massive amounts of rain. The highest rainfall total I have seen is Kentland, where we got 1.3 inches of rain. And if you look at these storms right now, a lot of thunder and lightning in Lafayette, but what an incredible light show in Warren County tonight. And this is tremendous cloud-to-ground lightning near Independence and Kramer and south of Chatterton and north of Attica. And when you see that much recent cloud-to-ground lightning, you've got a storm that's strengthening. Still vigorous storm coming through Lafayette with some small hail. Ryan had the 35 mile per hour gust on the west side. We'll take that. We don't want any of this wind energy getting down to the ground. And we can see that the highest wind is kind of, it's west and southwest a lot of greater Lafayette. I think if we're going to get some decent wind energy down to the surface, it's going to be this area right here northwest of Shaylin, that area. And then it's really not far from the Norma Jean Addition, Mason's Ridge, northwest of Concord, Taylor, near Shaylin. Those two pockets, those are the two pockets that I'm really watching for the best chance of getting damaging wind right now from this radar standpoint. Now, we'll wait and see what else happens. It looks like, we've got so much lightning north of Attica. I think it's reasonable to assume we've really got a tremendous updraft there. And I would watch for the damaging wind around Attica too, and some more hail there that may be loading in that pocket. New severe thunderstorm warning. There it is. It's Clinton. Southern Tippecanoe, it is Montgomery, and it's Boone County. Gusts to 60. Weather Service has a quarter-size hail tag on it. So it's for these damaging winds that are kind of morphing into one pocket of damaging wind right here, kind of in this zone, and watching here for potential of some damaging wind to develop, and it's moving this way. Everything's moving down here to the southeast. Wipe the hail data back on the screen. There's your hail data. From my estimate, from just the sound, I think here at the house in Lafayette, that was probably peas, some pea size hail. Normally I can get a good idea of hail size just based on what sound it's making here at the house when I'm tracking. But probably peas, maybe a couple that are near pennies. There are a couple bangs out there that I heard that were a little louder, and some brief gusty wind. But there's your hail. Certainly the biggest hail evolving now is north of Attica, and I still think that's the next area that's going to have damaging wind develop, because that's where the strongest storms are. And Green Hill, that area, that's where all the greatest amount of lightning is concentrated there. So that area I really want to watch. We got enough lightning in Tippecanoe County, which is indicative of a strong updraft. That could put hail and damaging wind down, but it's really this area out here, that is a tremendous amount of lightning. So hail here, that could be nickel sized, and we got to watch that wind that's up in that storm that could be belched out at any time. And it's all kind of evolving where I'm circling right now. I'm kind of coloring it in right in that zone, all moving down this way. Worst of the winds missing the city of Lafayette and West Lafayette right now. And I'm just trying to get as much wind data for you as I can. The gusts did not look very high. Now, our Purdue ASOS came back at 355, and at that point the wind was sustained at 22. I don't have a gust, but the data came back. But I don't have it on my map here. I'm not able to see that. At the White County Airport, we are gusting. Well, we've been gusting to 25. Yeah, we gusted to 25, so that's not bad. We'll take that. Again, we'll broaden out a little bit more here as a 417 and show you that we're not getting much up in that area, just a few little showers. This is strictly Tippecanoe, southeastern Warren, and moving into Fountain County, and it's headed for Clinton, Montgomery County, and the rest of Fountain County for that matter, where the severe thunderstorm warnings are up right now. And there it is. There's your little line that's formed and moving to the southeast. One thing I haven't done in a while is a storm track. So we'll look at the Weather Service. They have a 35 mile per hour storm track. I've been moving it at 45 to kind of get ahead of it. I think it seems like maybe it's slowed down a hair. We'll go ahead and just do a 40 mile per hour track and drop it to the southeast here and bring it into Clinton County and down there into Montgomery. Let's see. So we'll bring it like this, and I'm going to put the track all the way through the rest of Fountain County. So it would be something like West Rossville, Clarks Hill. We'll go all the way back to Covington, drop it southeastward just like that, and then move it all the way down past our forecast area, right up the edge of our forecast area that I cover. So here we are. It's just west of Rossville now. Mulberry, very soon it's going to be there. Kilmore, less than a half hour to Frankfort. Antioch, it's about a half an hour based on this new timing that I've slowed it just a hair. I've got the front part of it moving a little faster as it's appearing to bow out just a little bit. Colfax 22 minutes, Thorntown half an hour, Kirkland 46 minutes, Darlington 21, Crawfordsville 24 minutes, Yountsville 26, Linden is just a few minutes away. Clarks Hill, it's not far away from you at all. New Richmond, the worst of it is about 9 minutes away. Wingate 15, Waynetown 21, Alamo 31 minutes, and there's Ladoga at 38 minutes, New Ross 36 minutes. I can't remember if I mentioned Crawfordsville, but downtown Crawfordsville, 24 minutes. Hillsboro 24 minutes, Petersburg 31, Newtown 18, Stone Bluff 27. And this is, the worst of it is Dayton, North Crane, Concord, north of Romney now. It's around West Point, west of Shadeland. Independence, moving right through Attica right now. We're going to get a nice wind reading at Attica, east of Attica, here in a second. And then a little bit extends back to Fountain. It's kind of split there, very close to Covington. You may get the tail end of it in parts of Covington. And just a little thunder shower here around Perrysville, headed for Coal Creek and Harveysburg, and eventually Kingman. The warning is strictly Crawfordsville, Thorntown, Lebanon, Frankfort, Stockwell, and Linden right now. Why is there a warning? Well, you're looking at it right here. I have subtracted the storm movement so I can really see better where the higher wind is located. So that would be, I would say, I'll subtract the movement. And yeah, it's that brighter green area. If we're going to get a gust 60 to 70, it's going to be in that zone. So given all that, and I haven't yet really seen the worst of the wind move over quality weather stations. So that's the thing. You can't get a good reading when it's moving exactly over it. So if we're getting gust 60 to 70, it's going to be in this zone. I would say right here, and that would be West Point. It would be Romney. It would be Stockwell. It would be Independence. That zone. So right there, just to the southwest of areas like, just southwest of Mason's Ridge, Aubergine Addition, Stockwell, if we're able to translate that wind energy to the ground. Because right here we get a lot of lightning. We see the wind energy on radar. We've had tremendous lightning here in Warren and northeast Fountain County. And where that massive amount of lightning and the higher wind signature lines up, and where some of the hail is lining up, that's your best shot at getting those highest gusts. And we see sub-severe hail here from near Williamsport and Attica and Independence and near Green Hill, south of West Point and north of Romney. P and some dime-sized hail here. Now, yes, the rainfall rates are high, but the thing is, this thing's not really back building. It's not training much. So the rainfall amounts are held in check. The highest amount I have had so far, well, two of them. We've had 1 1/3 inches west of Pine Village. We've had 7/10 at Templeton. We've had 8/10 east of Fowler. We've had 1 1/3 inches at Kentland. So it's moving, but it's still dumping a quick, heavy amount of rain. Even the south side of Lafayette's had 4/10. Downtown Lafayette, I'm reading around 1/4 inch to 1/3 inch of rain. We've had about 1/2 inch out towards Klondike to 6/10 and south of Montmorency. And I do have a report of 1 inch southeast of Pine Village from an automatic gauge, and 1/4 inch at Round Grove. So it depends. Brookston's had I've got a 2/10 of an inch west of Brookston and 1/100th at Delphi right now. So the heaviest rains have been occurring, with these deep red cores here, kind of in the middle, where there's a quick inch of rain with the rainfall rates, 3 inches an hour. These are zipping through at a fairly decent pace, thankfully. Wouldn't hurt to have a little bit of rain in some spots to get this corn and soybean crop along. What we don't want is winds gusting to 70 and knocking corn and soybeans flat. Yeah, you bring up yes. If Facebook is lagging for you, Liz, thank you. I'm live on YouTube as well. If I'm a little bit laggy right now, and my audio is getting a little stuck. Going through email too. A lot of wind being reported right now near Romney. High wind east of Attica. We'll get a wind reading on that shortly. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. No hail at Salisbury and Lindbergh. Thank you, Ryan. Williamsport, the storm's exiting your area. If you had wind and hail, it should be coming to an end. Let's see. Just going through everybody's reports, really helpful. It really means a lot. I appreciate all the reports. So far, and the reports, it's middle of it's 4:26 in the morning. Okay. So we're good. Okay. Let's get back to tracking right now. So this is what we have. Let's do a reset. So it's 4:27. We haven't had much able to form northeast of Lafayette much. I think we've got residual capping issues going on there. It's just thunder and lightning and a little bit of rain around Peru and Logansport. Everything is centered where we've been able to really breach that cap. And that is really west of Rossville and northeast of Covington, that corridor. And we've had wind gusts of 43 east of Morocco. If you're just joining me, I'll go through these of the reports. We had that measured gust north of Morocco at 34 miles an hour. And I'll go back, 21 frames. If you're just kind of tuning in, kids will be getting up for school before you know it here. It's still almost 4:30. We've got a little ways, but for some of you, you're getting up at 5 a.m. You're getting up at 5:30. You got a pretty long commute. So I'm going to let this roll through. We had a gust of 54 at Kentland, 44 at Pine Village, west of Pine Village, 55 east of Fowler, and the 48 at Round Grove. And I believe the gust east of Attica at 10 meters. Let me look here. I believe that gust east of Attica. Let me pull that up. Okay, that gust was 46. So we'll take that. That's not 65 or 70. The wind energy's there. It appears not all of it's reaching the ground. But again, most of tonight, it's been a situation where the highest winds are kind of not going where the wind measurements are. The highest gusts we had again were Kentland and east of Fowler. And where you see the lightest green, that's where we have the best shot of damaging wind. The bright gray, the light green, or the whites, that is where, if we're going to get a gust 60 to 70 miles an hour, it's going to occur in that core. And the rest of it, we may have gusts 40, 35, 45, but right in that little area. And you can see it pretty easily, surging southeastward. And right there it is. I mean, this is the zone I would watch for at any point that damaging wind coming out, moving southeastward. The warning's over for the city of Lafayette, but it's still up for Mulberry, Stockwell, Dayton, Clarks Hill, Romney, Linden, and points south and southeastward for potential gusts 60 to 70 miles an hour. That kind of got marked in that zone. We'll wait and see if that kind of fans out a little bit as well. So last check at the Purdue airport at 3:55 in the morning here, that's the last update I've gotten from the airport. 35 minutes ago, the wind was sustained at 22 miles an hour. So I don't know how high the wind did get there. Let's see what we've got. Okay. Yeah, that was the last check. That's the last of what we had. Okay. And then the Purdue Ag Farm gust. Ryan at West Lafayette had a gust of 35 miles an hour. But again, if we had severe gusts or intense gusts, it was likely west of town if we had that. And if we've got some wind damage out there, we may not know of it until daylight anyway. With it still being dark, but daylight will be coming very soon. Let's see here. And a lot of times you can kind of follow the wind damage based on power outage data. So I'm going to pull that up too. And we'll see kind of what we have. In Duke Energy, we don't have any outages so far via Duke Energy. So that's good too. We'll take it. And Titmont. And so far, so even with all this lightning, I don't have any Titmont outages. So that is a great thing. We will definitely keeping the lights on. We want to keep the lights on. We don't want a big outage where you got to be in this very warm to hot, muggy, oppressive weather for sure. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so far so good. So far so good. We've had a few decent gusts here, pretty intense gusts, but so far we don't have any big outages. So we will take every bit of that. And right now, we've got the Clinton County, the Boone County, and Montgomery County warnings that are up. Gusts up to 60. Still the 1-inch or quarter-size hail tag on it. But we'll look at the vertically integrated liquid. This is mainly peas, some dimes mixed in this. Right where the brightest reds are located. Wipe the data back on the screen. There it is. There's that little small kind of linear cluster of storms trying to form a little bit of a line here. Trying to bow out a little bit. And still, even now, if we're gonna get one of these intense gusts, it's gonna be right here, everyone. It will be Romney, Stockwell, Clarks Hill, northwest of Colfax, north of Darlington, and just east of Linden. That's the area. Dropping to the southeast, if we're going to get the gust 60 to 70, that's gonna be where it comes from. I'm going to go ahead and do a storm track just on that. And we'll take it right here and drop it into Boone County just like so. And there are the times of arrival. Thorntown, about 10 minutes. Pike 18, Hazelrig 15, Darlington 10, Lebanon about 22 minutes, Gadsden half an hour, Max 20 minutes, Whitestown more than a half an hour, and that Northfield area about 37 minutes. Again, if we're going to get the intense wind, it's going to be with that pocket that you see right there. And elsewhere, like in Frankfort or Kilmore or Cambria, and then also Crawfordsville, if we're going to get wind there, it's probably going to be like 35, 40, 45. It's really where that brightest green and whitish color is that we're going to get the best chance of truly having severe winds here, right in that pocket. And that's what I'm still going to keep tracking right there, that particular area. And right where that area is, there's just a nice cluster of recent cloud-to-ground lightning strikes showing that updraft is still strong, and what goes up many times must come down in these storms as well. But if we can get by tonight early this morning, I guess I should say, if we can get by with very few power outages, despite, Augusta measured 55 east of Fowler, we will take every bit of that, for sure. So if you're just joining me right now, and many of you have been with me into the night here, or maybe you're just waking up right now and you're just joining me. So I've been tracking this, what began as really 3 supercells near each other, evolved into a supercell cluster, began to go linear and bow out just a little, and now it's just kind of a linear cluster of storms that is dropping to the southeast. And we've got the warnings up as of 4:36. It's still for southeast Tippecanoe County, and I think that would cover Clarks Hill, Stockwell, and Romney. But it's also in Montgomery County. It would cover New Richmond, Wingate, Linden, Darlington, technically Crawfordsville, all the way to New Ross, Lebanon, Thorntown, Kirkland, Antioch, Cyclone, Skirkleville, Michigantown, Frankfort. And even Beard's included in Cambria. Now, if we broaden out, there's nothing else of big consequence. We've got some rain and a little thunder up here north of Flora over to Peru. Everything here, this is where that cap has really been breached, and these storms have really gone up. And they have produced gusts as high as 55 miles an hour, like at Kentland and east of Fowler. And we've had P to dime-sized hail reported, not only at Earl Park and Fowler, but parts of Greater Lafayette, specifically West Lafayette, and over towards Green Hill. I haven't had any hail reports larger than a dime so far. It's not to say we haven't had a few nickels, or maybe we briefly had a quarter-sized stone, but I haven't had anything more than that. And I haven't had any weather stations measure at 10 meters a wind greater than 55, a gust greater than 55. That's not to say somewhere where some of these higher wind signatures on radar were or have been occurring doesn't mean that we haven't had somewhere embedded in all this, with these gusts. We haven't had a gust somewhere at 60 to 70. Earlier we had a gust even up here at Morocco at 43. And the last check at the Purdue airport, we had a sustained wind at 22, but that's kind of outside of the main core of wind. I am going to look at the Lafayette Timber House Airport because that wind would have passed pretty close to that area. We'll go 14 frames here and then loop it. And what I want to do is kind of stop it and then go back. So let's go back here. And that airport, yeah, the wind would be just on the edge. I doubt if there's intense wind here, I doubt if that area really saw it. It would be between West Point and Shadeland, and then it would be Concord, near Concord, Romney, Kirkpatrick, and then now down into the Colfax and Darlington areas. And we did have a gust east of Attica at 46. And we can see there a little lighter green. It's kind of on the edge of that lightest white or light green color. There's a new warning. There's Eastern Fountain County under severe thunderstorm warning now. So let's go back and look at our radar data. There it is, gust to 60, potential of 1-inch hail. Looks like we got some hail loading there around Malott. So this back part is pulsing up a little bit. So there's the VIL, the vertically integrated liquid, and sure enough, we got a little hail core that's pulsing up pretty good. That's near that Malott area. So that gray spot would amount to here now. The hail data is a little bit laggy, so there could very well be a few quarter-sized stones in that, probably some peas and dimes and pennies, and maybe a couple quarter-sized stones. Like I said, just because we don't measure stones from anyone or get that report, or we don't measure a gust of 60, doesn't mean somewhere we haven't had that. Maybe hadn't been reported yet, or it's just in a very rural area. Some of these storms pass over areas where it's just farmland, and you're not going to get that report. So anyway, at least for now, this new warning is up for Eastern Fountain County. We got another hail core that's forming just southwest of Petersburg that's pulsing up too. And we'll wipe that data, that wind data, back on the screen. I'll subtract the storm movement. So again, it's really this area here. And let's watch over here too for the potential of a core wind to develop there, because that part of the area of storms is pulsing up and strengthening. So we've got to watch that area, but it's moving to the southeast here as of 4:42 in the morning. So let's wipe it back on. There's just the reflectivity. We'll do another storm track out of this. I believe Indy's got this track in the Weather Service there at 40. And I think that's what I had last time, if memory serves me right. And we'll keep it pretty consistent. I had a 40 mile per hour track, so I'm going to keep that 40 mile per hour track here, moving it to the southeast. So given that, let's wipe this on. We'll go from Frankfort back to Thorntown, Darlington, Linden, and all the way northeast to Kingman, and drop this. We'll just drop it to the edge of our forecast area. Right there. So here are the times of arrival in Clinton County. So Kirkland's about a half an hour. You get to Boone County and Terhune, 42 minutes. Elizaville, 35. Pike, 26. Lebanon, 26 minutes. Advance, 20. Lindsborg, 14. New Ross, 19. Jamestown, 26. Ladoga, 22. Crawfordsville, it's closer to about 10 minutes now. Yountsville, 17. Alamo, 25. Waynetown, I would say it's less than 20 minutes to get to you. And finally, Wallace, half an hour. We're looking down towards northeast Park County. It's about a half an hour away. Far southern edge of Montgomery County, half an hour away from you. And what do you need to be ready for? Well, at any point, this thing could pump out a 60, 70 mile per hour gust, and we do note some hail in it too. Now, I want to go back to Clinton County. So, again, if you're just joining me, 4:45 in the morning, it's Clinton through northwest Boone, southern Tippecanoe, northern Montgomery, and eastern Fountain counties. Those are the areas that have the severe weather risk right now. We don't have anything upstream. going on. So we're in good shape there. Go out to central Illinois. We don't have anything there. This is the main area where that cap has been breached. This is where the most intense storms are located. And this is where all the warnings are located too. You see the warning right there? You've got Clinton County and Boone County and northern Montgomery and southeast Tippecanoe. For about a half an hour, you got the warning. And the same thing for eastern Fountain. It's for about another half an hour. So this little linear cluster, this little line is moving southeastward now. If you're just checking in now, again, upstream, we've had some gusts 44, 46, 48, gusts of 55 east of Fowler, 54 Kentland, 34 north of Morocco, though. I haven't had any damage reports yet. We don't see any big power outages, so that's a good thing. I have had hail reports from this, pea to dime size in parts of Benton County, but also Tippecanoe County, West Lafayette area, Green Hill. West Lafayette had a gust at Ryan Harbor. Just a great guy, firefighter on the west side there. Great reports. He had a gust of 35. Didn't get a gust at the Purdue Airport because the station's been either not transmitting data and just not registering. At my last check, the winds were sustained at 22 from the northwest at 3:55, and that's the last observation that I have. The gust at the Lafayette Timber House Airport, it was sustained at 28. The peak gust was 36. So that's okay. We'll take that too. 36 mile per hour gust there. Again, I think I mentioned the 46 east of Attica. We had that 48 at Round Grove too. 36. So north of this, there's nothing going on, and we're going to be okay. It's really south of Frankfort, Thorntown, Clarks Hill, south of Stockwell, Linden, south of Wingate, and Hillsboro. Those are the areas now. If we're going to get any sort of wind out of this that's substantial, it's going to be those places right there. And here, and again, it's kind of in this area if we're going to get some strong gusts. And that's why the Weather Service in Indy has the warnings up. They've got the warnings, those pockets of potential gusts, 60 to 70 that still might occur. I would lean closer to 60 now, and you got to be ready for some of the hail. But the biggest hail is, if we're going to get it, it's going to be coming into Fountain County. We've got 2 cores there that are indicative of a few quarter-sized stones, and then the rest is like peas. These are all pea stones if we're getting it. Colfax, south of Clarks Hill, New Richmond. But if that storm near Malott, north of Hillsboro, and southwest of Petersburg, those are the 2 new ones that to me look like are strengthening the most. Now, we may very well end up with, some intense gusts from that light green, whitish area. But we've got this light green, whitish area on the tail end back here too. So this is strengthening here in Fountain County, and that's going to move into northeast Park County and southwest Montgomery County here very soon. So certainly a well-warranted severe thunderstorm warning there for that particular storm. So given all that, the threat is still there, and it's mainly Colfax, Thorntown. I will have some wind data from Thorntown and Colfax and Darlington very soon, and some from Fountain County here very soon as well. We'll go back and see here. And also, I want to go over here to, I'm still going to watch Clinton County for you. We've got some thunderstorms west of Michigan Town coming through Frankfort right now and southwest of Frankfort. We are getting some decent wind here. We've got winds gusting, more than 30 miles an hour. Nothing damaging from the current standpoint that I can see. I would like to pull up the Frankfurt airport and see what we've had at 10 meters measured west of Frankfurt. And it looks like, let's see here. Okay. The Frankfurt airport, 75 with a dew point of 75. And at last check here, the winds were gusting to 30 from the west-northwest. Now that observation was at 4:35. So we'll wait and see end up what the highest gust actually was. But that was the highest gust that we had had so far at that time. Okay. Well, that gives us a good idea here. So at least from this current standpoint, so here was 36. Here's, it's probably higher than that, but that we had a 30 at the Frankfurt airport. The 46 over here. We had a 44 out here west of Pine Village, and then up towards the north on the screen here, 48 up towards Round Grove. So, and this looks like this little line is diminishing in intensity, except on the tail end. This area, Michigan Town, Thorntown, Linden, New Richmond, from my standpoint, this does not look severe as much anymore when you're looking at the heights of the storm. This thing may very well be kind of gusting out. Yeah, they were bright green, and see how the green's gotten darker. So if we had any severe gusts, we've probably already done that. Somewhere out towards Shadeland and southwest of Stockwell. The main storm, actually the strongest storm in our area right now, appears to be the one in Fountain County. We'll go back to that one. And right there it is, right on that tail end. So yeah, these don't look as intense. Thunder and lightning, yes. Gustiness, yes. But I'm just not confident that we're getting high risk of severe gusts in that area right now. I'm going to wait for it to go east of Michigan Town to get a wind clocked there. We'll wait on the Frankfurt airport. I do see that winds are sustained in the 20s south of Frankfurt right now in that storm, but it's nothing severe though. In Thorntown, we're gusting to 35. So that is not severe. Gusty enough, but not severe. But certainly it's that storm northeast of Kingman that is the strongest right now. It's small, but that's the one that's got the strongest updraft right now. It has the best chance of pumping out a few quarter-sized stones. So that's your biggest storm right now, headed for Steam Corner. Penny, dime stones, couple quarter-sized stones. We'll wipe the velocity product on the screen. Maybe some gusts there, pretty strong wind gusts. I'm not confident that we're getting truly severe gusts right out of that storm. But I will tell you that, they may be up around 50 or perhaps a little bit more than that. There is and I'm not sure the height, but there is a private weather station from one of our spotters that is southeast of Steam Corner. That's the thing, though. I don't know the height. You want to standardize all of your data. You want all your data to be the same, whether it be at an airport or any other location. So I'm not sure of that, but I do know that that station is not far from Woolley Corner. So it's just west of Woolley Corner, but it looks like the worst is going to pass just away from it. So I'm not going to get a good wind reading. It is gusting to that farm is gusting to 22 right now. So it's kind of missing that area. So if we're getting much more in the way of gustiness and getting hail that's of bigger size, and again, this hail data is awfully laggy, it's going to be kind of over here. It's missing that station. But yeah, that hail area is moving southeast where it's going to pass near Sycamore Ford and Alamo and just southwest of Taylor Corner. Otherwise, the hail, there may be a little bit of pea hail mixed up in this around Thorntown and Linden, but those storms are indeed weakening, and the wind is kind of surging all the way to Lebanon now. They're probably surging out of the storms, and it's weakening as the updrafts are undercut. So, yeah, these are definitely showing a weakening trend. Gusty, yes. Gust 30, 40, 45, certainly possible. And some of that wind energy surging out. But the biggest storm is back here. And to me, that's the only one that looks severe right now is back here. Just north of Wallace. Small, but rather mighty. With that hail core on it and the wind. A little core wind on that storm too. Yeah, all of the gusts that are coming out of Montgomery County, we're getting winds turning to the north and the northwest all the way down to Newmarket now. So that is indeed what's happening. The wind is surging out of it. The gust front is surging way out ahead of it, undercutting it. And it may not be undercutting the Wallace storm per se, but from what I'm seeing, we're getting gusts now. That wind surging forward, gust 30. So yeah, these don't look severe. Michigan Town, our gust was east northeast of Michigan Town. The gust was 25, and South Michigan Town, I got a 26 mile per hour gust there. The highest gust has been Thorntown, which makes sense that gust would be 35 from our station because that's that part is a little bit more organized, but even that's not severe. I'm going to stay for the next few minutes, I'm going to stay just a little bit longer as things are kind of weakening more. The strongest storms are just north of Lebanon, but so far we're in pretty good shape. We'll get those storms to go over the Lebanon airport, see what we end up with, and even that storm northeast of Wallace, the reflectivity is not quite as intense as it was. The hail core, if it's got quarter-sized stones in it, it's dropped them south of the Petersburg airport. Because that's where that gray little pocket was. So just south of that airport there, you'll see it pass by. This little gray core right there. A little gray core may have had a couple or a few quarter-sized stones in it, and now we've probably released the hail, maybe a few pea stones northeast of Wallace. Otherwise, a few pea stones. The best chance of that's going to be to the southeast of Thorntown right now, as the storms are still fairly vigorous, but they don't look like they're at severe limits anymore. Technically, the warning continues for another 16 minutes, and then it should expire. So it is 4:59. Kids are going to be getting up for school. This is going to keep pushing out. We should be in pretty good shape. Because the severe weather risk is going to end before 8 o'clock. It's going to end before 7. That's good news. Now, here's the thing, though. We're going to have more severe storms. And I'm going to have a new forecast up here at 6. I'm gonna get the rest of that done. I'm gonna get that on air. I had to get part of it done, most of it done prior, because I wanted to make sure I could cover severe weather for you overnight. That'll be coming up here in 1 hour, and we'll be tracking more severe storms tonight. Mixed signals on modeling for storms during the days, but I'm really focused on the nighttime hours, early mornings for these types of events here over the next few days. So everybody have a safe morning. Still know that we still have some thunderstorms going on down here in our southern counties from Wallace and Crawfordsville through Lebanon, Thornton, and Kirkland. They're going to keep moving southeastward. A few bits of pea hail, maybe some gusts 30, 35, but this is weakening now, and I think we're in much better shape as they're moving to the southeast. So have a safe day. Kids, have a great day, a safe day at school. Lewis Cass Schools, you're going back for your first day today. Everybody take care, and I'm definitely going to keep you updated on storms the next few nights. And I'll have a new forecast up at 6 a.m. and also this afternoon after I nap a little bit. Been up all night, so we'll get a little nap in, and then I'll get working for you once again. Thank you, everyone.